Hi, I'm Peter. I'm joined by my colleague Caroline. In today's webcast, Creating Learning Materials for Your Course, we'll show you how to leverage existing materials on iTunes U and how to discover engaging apps, as well as how to create your own learning materials like videos and multi-touch books for iPad. The iTunes U app allows your students to access all of the great iTunes U content, including full courses, all in one place. The iTunes U app works on iPad, iPhone and iPod Touch, and it's a free download from the App Store. iTunes U courses are available via the iTunes U app and can include all your learning materials such as video, documents, apps and books. Students can view a course syllabus, read instructor posts and updates, and complete assignments. They can take notes in an assigned book, video and audio. All of the notes they take in books, audio, video, as well as general course notes are organised in one place in the iTunes U app. Any instructor can build courses with an easy-to-use web-based tool called iTunes U Course Manager. Now I'd like to turn it over to Caroline, who will walk you through how to discover amazing content on iTunes U and the App Store.
Hi, I'm Caroline. Let's start by looking at the iTunes U app, which we learned about in the first webcast of the series. When students open up a course from the iTunes U app, they'll see 4 tabs along the right-hand side: Info, Posts, Notes and Materials. The Materials tab is where we'll focus our attention today. iTunes U courses can include all the materials students need to take the course, such as audio and video files, presentations, documents, PDFs, books, apps and web links. As you begin thinking about what learning materials you'll use for your course, you should start with the iTunes U catalogue. The iTunes U catalogue is the largest repository of free education content in the world. It has over 500,000 audio and video files and nearly 1,500 full courses from the world's leading education institutions like Yale, Stanford and more. The courses range in subjects from school physics to machine learning from Caltech. Teachers have access to an incredible treasure trove of educational learning objects. If you want to include a part of a Harvard lecture in your school social studies class, you can find it on iTunes U. The iTunes U catalogue has been popular with independent learners and educators for years. In fact, over 900 million learning objects have been downloaded from the public catalogue. There is amazing content in the catalogue, like this collection from Duke University Libraries called AdViews. This is a unique collection of thousands of television commercials dating from the 1950s to the 1980s. Duke carefully digitized the collection and then made it available on iTunes U, allowing students and researchers access to a wide range of advertisements which can be used in many creative ways. Like this Like Father, Like Son ad for Beechnut baby food. Or this one for their peppermint gum. The Library of Congress has incredible primary source materials on iTunes U, like this collection on the origins of American animation from the years 1900 to 1921. Like this one, Fun in a Bakery Shop. The Library of Congress has some incredible collections on iTunes U. Early films of New York, Civil War sheet music, and this collection of over 67 films of Theodore Roosevelt covering his life from the Spanish-American War in 1898 to his death in 1919. There is also an incredible collection of public domain books from the University of South Florida. Lit2Go on iTunes U is an incredible collection of stories, speeches and poems in English literature. It's dedicated to supporting literacy teaching and learning by providing access to historically and culturally significant literature in K-12 schools. iTunes U gives you access to engaging content like this. Incorporating primary source content into your assignments can create powerful learning experiences for your students. Now let's take a look at apps. Apps are an incredible resource for your courses. You can easily link to any app in the iTunes U store directly from your course. There are nearly 75,000 education apps, of which nearly 40,000 are made for iPad. Here are a few examples of apps that could be integrated into your courses. If you're an English teacher, you could use the Sonnets by Shakespeare. Sketchbook Pro could be great for art or graphic design. Atlas could be really useful in social studies or government. You could use Nova Elements in chemistry and Student Muscle System in life science. And in maths, there are great apps like Algebra Touch. These are just a few examples of the nearly 75,000 apps for education. Because of the large number of apps for education and new ones being created all the time, we've created a new education collection page on iTunes to help you discover education apps in your subject area. So far in this webcast, we've shown you how to discover amazing learning materials on iTunes U and apps that you can use to enhance your courses. Now, we're going to spend some time showing you how to create your own content for your courses that take advantage of the features of iPad. Now let's take a look at how to capture video by using the built-in camera and how to create multi-touch books for iPad with iBooks Author. So now over to Don Henderson and Jill Vermillion.
So let's get started with creating video with iPad. To contextualize this, I'm actually going to focus on a course in the iTunes U catalog called Earthquakes. This course was created by KQED and the California Academy of Sciences. In this course, one of the assignments is to watch a video which describes the difference between a 6.9 and 8.5 magnitude earthquake. After watching the video, I learned that the difference between a 6.9 and an 8.5 magnitude earthquake is significant in regards to the amount of energy released. From an earlier reading in the course, I also learned that the Richter scale measures the logarithmic scale and that a 5.0 magnitude earthquake is 10 times greater than that of a 4.0. So to take this to the next level, I'm going to actually ask the students in the class to work together in pairs and to use the iPad and the built-in camera to brainstorm on video what we would need to know in order to prepare a community for a magnitude 8.5 earthquake. So let's look at some tips on how to create video on the iPad. I'd like to begin by sharing some best practices on how to capture great video with iPad. You're probably most used to holding the iPad in portrait mode like this, and although you can take images and record video this way, when you're capturing HD video, I'd encourage you to hold the iPad in landscape mode. The camera's up here in the corner, and it allows you to put your hands on this and hold it stable so you get really good quality video. As we were talking about in the Earthquakes course, we wanted the students to get into pairs and to capture each other on video, reflecting on the kinds of things they would need to know if an earthquake might hit a city. So I've asked Jill to join me, and Jill has a set of ear pods, and we're actually going to plug them directly into iPad. And once we have that in there, the iPad captures amazing video and audio as it is, but in a classroom, oftentimes you have groups of students that make lots of noise. So in this case, we can actually isolate the audio by using the ear pods or an earbud with a built-in microphone to isolate the sound to Jill or to your students. All right, so to record, I'm simply going to tap the camera app on the iPad, which will launch the camera. It's in photo mode, so I'm going to go ahead down here into the corner and I'm going to slide it over to camera. Now I'm going to frame it, and I'm going to go ahead and tap on the screen to focus and to set the exposure. And then I'm going to press the record button. So Jill, what are some things some students would need to know in order to prepare a city in the event that an earthquake might happen?
Some of the things that students should consider in helping a city prepare for a major earthquake might be things like, what are some sources of fresh water and food? Are there emergency shelters in place? And what are the locations of hospitals and medical clinics around the city?
To stop recording, simply tap on the record button again, and your video will be added to your camera roll. So now I've captured some footage of Jill, and obviously this is something that each of the students in the class can do to add their content, and then these can become shared learning resources that you can add to your course or to your iBooks book that you're authoring.
Now that you've seen how to capture video using iPad, we're now going to demonstrate how to create engaging multi-touch books for iPad using iBooks Author. iBooks Author is an amazing app that allows anyone to create beautiful iBooks textbooks and just about any other kind of multi-touch book for iPad. You can include 3D objects, galleries, images, review questions, and more. So let's get started building the book right now. When I first open iBooks Author, I see the template chooser. iBooks Author comes with this set of beautiful Apple-designed templates that make getting started easy. You can choose from a variety of styles, in both landscape and portrait orientations. Each template has a variety of page layouts you can choose from. For this example, I'm going to select the editorial template and create a new book. Now I see the book navigator on the left-hand side, which is where I'm going to start to add my own content. I'm ready to add my text. iBooks Author makes it simple to flow in text. All I have to do is drag in a document, made in a word processing program like Pages or Word that I've already created. So I have different layout options here that I can choose from. And for this example, I'm going to choose the section text. As you can see, iBooks Author automatically adds new pages to accommodate all the pages I've dropped in. iBooks Author also recognizes the formatting I've used in my document and preserves that to create two new sections. I can also drag in images, and I can do that for both my chapter and section opening pages. I drag an image right into the image placeholder, and iBooks Author resizes it to fit in the box. iBooks Author automatically reflects my changes in the table of contents. Now let's add interactive widgets. Let's start with an image gallery. On the toolbar, I'm going to click on the Widgets button to see all the kind of interactives I can create. And I'm going to select Gallery. I can drag multiple images into the gallery and move the gallery around to where I want it and resize it. The text automatically flows around it. The gallery gets a title and a caption. I can create a caption for each image as I scroll through. I can create keynote presentations and drag them in as well. This means that even if I don't have any programming experience, I can use the animation tools in Keynote to build interactive experiences. I drag the Keynote presentation onto the page, and iBooks Author takes a moment to convert it to book format. And there it is. I can also build in some interactive review questions with the Review widget. As you'll see, there are many different types of questions I can include. I'm going to choose a question that uses images as the answer. Now I'm going to add a title. I'm going to call this Section Review. And I'm going to write my question. What is the savannah? Then I simply drag in images from my answer choices. You'll see the image is resized to fit the boxes. Using Inspector, I can even change the number of answer choices I want to include. But for this example, I'm going to stick with 4 choices. I select the correct answer by placing the green check mark. That's all I have to do to make it interactive. iBooks Author also has great accessibility tools built right in. I can make this question accessible to people with vision impairment by adding a description for each image. If the user has VoiceOver selected on their iPad, it'll read the text I've written for each image. I can add accessibility descriptions to any widget or media, including movies and the quizzes like I've done here, so that even those with vision impairment can use them. To view this book in portrait orientation, I click here. I didn't have to do anything extra to create this portrait view. It was generated automatically, with all the widgets I placed in the book now appearing in the left column. Now I'm done with this book, and I want to see how it looks on my iPad. iBooks Author has a great preview feature. All you have to do is have your iPad plugged into your Mac and click the preview button to send the book right to your iPad. So in real time, we built an actual book with text, media, interactives and images, and we're able to send it to the iPad. What if you want to share your book more widely? If you click Publish, you have the option of publishing to the iBookstore. You can even export the book to iBooks format to share on iTunes U or to give it to anyone with an iPad. And that's how you build a beautiful, interactive, multi-touch book for iPad. iTunes U Course Manager allows you to bring together all the great iTunes U content, powerful apps, iBooks textbooks, along with content you've created yourself, like video and multi-touch books for iPad. When you add incredible learning materials to your course and then create assignments which bring them to life, you create opportunities to engage students in entirely new ways. Now we want you to hear directly from instructors and educators who are creating their own learning materials for their iTunes U courses. Each of them will share with you an overview of their institutions, the technology they have in place, and then share a bit about both the teacher and student experience when creating and integrating learning materials into their iTunes U courses.
Hi, my name is Chris Bruce. I'm a science teacher here at James B. Conant High School, Hoffman Estates, Illinois. I'm actually coming to you over FaceTime. This is the real deal. This is the real place. Welcome to my school. I came into teaching as a career, actually as a second career. I spent 7 years on active duty as a U.S. Navy officer, did submarines and space. But teaching really is my dream job. It's my great honor and privilege to come to school every day and to do this. It is so much fun. I have had the honor of having iPads in my class for the last year, ever since school started. We've been doing a one-to-one pilot program, and it's been an incredible learning experience both for me and for the students. In physics, I teach solely physics. I've found that the iPad is amazing in a number of ways. One way is it's an outstanding data collection tool. It has a camera on it. You can go right out and get the data anywhere. Also, it's fantastic as a collaboration tool. Students, if they have 30 seconds or 2 minutes in between bells, they can do a little bit of work, send it off, and the next student will have it. It's been great for that. From the point of view of improving test scores, iPad is been pretty unique in its ability to provide immediate feedback to the students. And for me, this is huge. Students can see right away when they make a mistake. We've actually been using an app that we developed here in-house called Step-to-Step Physics, where students learn how to do physics problems. There's also a great one put out by the University of Texas, a website called Quest, which allows students to do problems and right away tells them if they're right or wrong. To me, that's something that paper could never do, is to give immediate feedback. I personally started using iTunes U last February to learn how to write apps. I was immediately impressed by the ability of iTunes U to collect videos and to distribute them. The way it works is you download the video to your device, and this is great for the students who don't have an internet connection at home. They can get all of their course materials, whether that be worksheets, videos, audio clips, apps, text or iBooks, doesn't matter. Everything they can download at school, and then when they go home, they have it. And this has been really, really important for the kids in every class who don't have an internet connection at home. This summer, my district received training on iTunes U Course Manager and iBooks Author. I was immediately blown away by the ability of iBooks Author to be a much, much richer experience than just text. iBooks Author allows you to create iBooks, and iBooks are text, but they are also everything else that you would want to put into a device. Like, you can do movies, you can do animations, you can do audio, you can even do interactive things. I have review quizzes built right into my own iBook, where you can flip through and immediately assess your learning as you're going along. We've even used it in lecture. Everybody pull out your iBook, and we go through and we do the review questions, and every student gets their own personal feedback in the review quiz. Another great feature, and probably the most outstanding feature of iTunes U, is it uses the push notification system. So if I make a post an assignment, it instantly goes to every student's iPad. Once there, they can't help but noticing that they have an assignment that's due. And this works even if the iPad's off. As soon as they pick the iPad up, they open up the screen, turn it on, and there's the notification. And it's been awesome. No more excuses. No more, oh, I forgot my homework. It's been absolutely amazing from the point of view of having students remember to do their homework. All right. For me, physics is by definition an interactive course. It's impossible to understand physics without getting out and trying things. I have, over the past few years, been working with a team of very talented teachers that we've spent years refining our materials. And one of the things that I saw right away that we could do was to take our existing worksheets and materials and just put them straight onto iTunes U. And there's an immediate benefit to that. The students all of a sudden are perfectly organized. They're never missing anything because they have it right there. Everything is there. But we also realized that iTunes U and the iPad can do so much more than just provide a content delivery system. We've been working on all sorts of things to make the students' experience better. We've written an app. Using Xcode, which is Apple's native development environment, we have written step-to-step physics that we're now using and having great success with in the classroom. I've written a textbook. Over the summer, I spent about, maybe 30 or 40 hours putting together a few chapters that I've been using since then for the students in class. Using iBooks Author to make the textbook has been as easy as it possibly could be. In fact, I gave training on this to some teachers in my school earlier today. It's just like making a Word document. And they were very excited about the ability to make their own textbooks. We've also written simulations and games. I'm using a program called Game Salad Creator, and I'm actually looking at having my students use this program to make games and simulations for physics that they can put on the web or on the iPad. I'm very excited about this. We also, in physics class, use the iPad to analyze video. There's a free app called Coach My Video and a paid one by Vernier called Vernier Video Physics that allows you to slow down and do stop motion video analysis. Both of these apps have really improved and increased learning for basic physics concepts of motion. Now, all of this being said, if you're thinking about putting together an iTunes U course, understand that right from the get-go, the instant you do it, you gain a few things. Number one, you gain organization for your students. And also you gain the world's best notification system for homework assignments. But on top of that, understand that this is going to be, using iPads in your classroom is going to be a lot of work. In order to make that process go better and more smoothly, first of all, consider what you already have and do. You already have a course. It might be just as simple as taking what you have and putting it on iTunes U. Don't try to reinvent the wheel from scratch. It's a guaranteed path to frustration. Use what you already have. Second, consider your own strengths and limitations. A biology colleague of mine uses an app called Nearpod to do interactive presentations. All she had to do to make that happen was take her existing presentations, put them into Nearpod, And now all of a sudden she can get real-time feedback from the students, and she can have them try questions and interact with the presentation in a way you could never do with paper. Personally, I work much more on an ad hoc basis. We've been developing an app called Scratch Quiz, which allows you to do the immediate feedback piece with no preparation at all. So there's lots of tools out there that allow you to do things like that. Just consider how much time you have, consider what you're good at, and also consider what the iPad does well. It's portable. It can replace a bag full of books. It has a camera. It can provide instant interactivity and feedback because it has a touch screen. It can show videos and play movies. It has an amazing, there are a huge number of apps out there. I don't know the whole number, but this tremendous app ecosystem with developers coming up with new ideas all the time. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it is a real-time, full-time internet connection for every student. If they have their own, they can sit there and they have the entire world of the internet at their fingertips. And lastly, and most importantly, work together. If you have other teachers you can work with, do it. If you don't have any other teachers in your building, go out and find those online communities of people who are doing this and steal ideas. That's what teaching is all about. Learn how to do things from other people. Work together. Many hands make light work. Finally, I would say this has been quite a ride. It's been a huge learning experience for me and for the kids. iTunes U has been an immediate win in my classroom. iBooks Author is fantastic. Having the ability to write everything yourself is incredibly liberating, and it's so easy. That's all I have. Thanks for your time.
Hi, I'm Scott Cohen, and I teach English literature at Stonehill College, a small liberal arts college outside of Boston. Since about 2010, we've been using iPad in the classroom with great results. iPad, over this time, has evolved in such a way that at every step, it's become an increasingly valuable and indeed essential tool for the classroom and for my scholarship. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how iTunes U can enhance the student's experience in a course, bringing materials to light in new and exciting ways, and helping the faculty arrange those materials in a way that's best for the student. Every faculty member sits down and writes a syllabus at the beginning of the term. We hand them out to our students, and very often for the student, the syllabus is just a list of dates, a list of readings, deadlines, if you will, something that is not always welcomed and not always exciting. iTunes U helps bring a syllabus to life by arranging the materials that a course is going to be offering in an exciting array. In fact, in a way that allows students to see the course spread before them in a way that very much the faculty saw in the process of creating that syllabus. It offers a vivid and exciting way for students to enter a course, to really join a community of thinking and understanding where learners are exploring these ideas from the very beginning of the semester. In fact, iTunes U allows us to demonstrate the relevance of materials rather than just materials being a list of books that students need to purchase or texts that they need to borrow from the library. iTunes U and iPad allow for innovative arrangements of texts and ideas, allowing materials to be navigated by students in this incredibly multi-rich environment that the iPad allows. Across courses, across universities, iTunes U allows for a kind of global collaboration where materials can be drawn from other courses, intersecting ideas can be brought to life, and the students in an individual course really have access to much, much more than a single course. I teach a course on islands and the enduring role that islands play in literature across genres and across historical periods. And iTunes U has allowed me to put this material online for students to explore so that they can see the relationship between texts across historical periods, so they can explore different ways in which islands have shaped the human imaginary since the beginning of time. Another course that I teach on iTunes U, and I'm working on right now, is called Modernism in the City. This is a course that explores the experimental literature of the first half of the 20th century and thinks about it in light of the rapid changes that were being experienced in urban spaces across the globe. In this course, we're able to take materials that students would ordinarily just read themselves, a poem, for instance, and find new historical and cultural contexts for this material. So, for instance, the poem Eyes of the Poor by Charles Baudelaire is a poem that's really richly embedded and really kind of profoundly connected to its historical circumstances. It tells the story of a man and his lover having lunch or coffee together and running into a variety of people on the streets of Paris. Now, that running into people, that experience of seeing other people on the streets of Paris was something that was relatively new and made possible by some very real architectural and urban planning changes to Paris at this historical moment in the 19th century. Now, as a student is reading the poem, sometimes this can be available and present to them. But on iTunes U, I'm able to post a book that has interactive features so that students are able to read the text of the poem and then explore the very rich historical contexts out of which Baudelaire composed the poem. So, for instance, in addition to reading the poem closely and deeply, taking notes on the poem and including those notes within the iTunes U environment, students are also able to see a range of materials, particularly in terms of urban planning and architecture, as well as historical materials related to life in the 19th century Paris. So students are at their very fingertips able to examine this poem, see the rich historical contexts, and understand the way in which literary imagination was shaped at this particular moment. Students can also, of course, use this platform in iTunes U and the iPad to create material. I teach a course on storytelling, and it's really a great opportunity for students to record their own stories and produce those stories for other students. They make those stories available to each other, and students are able to think through and better understand each other's stories, drawing lessons from each other all along the way. So being able to create, share, and collaborate using iPad and the way in which iTunes U is able to host this material makes a whole new learning experience possible. Another way that students have found iTunes U exciting at Stonehill is in the form of a small group that we've started that's an iTunes U and iBooks design group. These are students from across the campus, just a handful of us right now, but those of us who are interested in putting materials up on iTunes U, students are able to work closely with faculty and help faculty bring materials onto iTunes U and also create books in the process that they can read and explore on the iPad. Students in graphic design can collaborate with students in literature and other majors to demonstrate their creative skills and also gain very important skills that they can use when they graduate. So in the process, students are not only consuming knowledge that's created on iTunes U. In fact, at Stonehill, students are involved with the production of this knowledge and making it available for others. iTunes U and iPad offer some really exciting opportunities, and every time that I use iTunes U and iPad, I find it a really rich and exciting experience for myself and also making the learning environment better for students.
We would encourage you to go to the iTunes U app from your iPad and download and explore these courses. These are great examples created by teachers who are already teaching courses using iTunes U, and will allow you to see what's possible as you begin to think of ways you can integrate iTunes U into your classroom. All the courses that you subscribe to will appear in the iTunes U app on this beautiful bookshelf, alongside their iTunes U collections. And when you or your students want to discover new courses, tap on Catalogue to browse over 1,500 courses and other great content available today. I'd like to remind everyone to visit apple.com/iTunesU to sign up so you can begin creating your own courses. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much, Chris and Scott. That was very interesting and gave us a great insight on how to create learning materials for your course. And it's amazing just how many options teachers have with this platform. So we had a number of great questions coming in from the audience. Thanks for sending those through. If you still have questions for us, please do send them in while we are going straight into the question and answer session now. We will still screen all questions coming in. So let's go straight into the first question, which is, how much does it cost to buy a public institution site? So iTunes U in general is a free platform offered by Apple, and by free we mean free for the provider. So we don't charge anything for storage or bandwidth or usage or traffic or anything. And on the other hand, it's also free for the users. So for students, they can access all the content inside iTunes U for free, so there's no charge to that. We would advise that the users have an Apple ID because you want to store maybe your notes and everything what you do inside the iTunes U app. But outside of that, there is no charge. For some items, obviously, which may be part of the course, as a user, you may be charged. For example, if there's a paid app which is part of a course and you want to download it, you may need to buy that if you want to. But again, maybe as a course creator, you should look out to also link to, for example, some free apps or demo apps if you want to prevent people from spending money on downloading the assets. So the next question is, for how long will it be possible to view again the webcast of this series? So as I said at the beginning of the webcast, we will be recording it. It should be up there for a couple of months at least. So there's no rush in going to the on-demand version once it's available. The next question is, are the apps free? So not 100% sure what the person asking this is referring to. So the iTunes U app is definitely free. Again, it's downloadable on the iOS platform. Again, the whole iTunes U catalog is free as well, accessible through Mac or PC through the iTunes client, but also obviously through the iOS iTunes U app. Then we did, our guest speakers did mention some third-party apps. Some may be free and some may be paid for. So it all depends. So if you want to look at Nearpod, just simply look it up yourself and then you find out. The next question is, how are videos being shared between teachers and students? Again, not quite sure what the question is, what the specific background is to this question. As you have seen throughout the 3 webcasts, the iTunes U app is the best, or iTunes U Course Manager is a good way of distributing content, digital content, to iOS devices. So as a teacher, I can definitely share videos, obviously, as part of an iTunes U course. I can do that also as part of a collection. But there is no, if you think about collaboration around videos, so if you think that basically a teacher posts a video, then the students takes the video and then does something with the video and then resubmits it. This is not possible inside the app, but there's definitely tools out there, third-party tools, which allows you in doing that. Again, iTunes U is more as a distribution engine for, the best way of putting it, for teachers to students. The next question, and there's a couple of similar questions coming around that. Can iBooks Author only be used on a Mac? So iBooks Author is an application for the Mac. It's available for free in the Mac App Store. So essentially, you need to have a more or less up-to-date machine. So macOS 10 Lion definitely works. macOS 10 Mountain Lion works, and you can download it directly for free on the Mac App Store onto your Mac. The next question is, how do you access education collections in iTunes? I have tried to search for it and can't see it. So very simply, if you go to the iTunes U site, to the iTunes U library on your iPad or iPhone, or even on a Mac or PC through the iTunes client, you just go onto the iTunes U section basically. Within that, you can find providers. So this is one way of getting to collections, but also to courses. So you find providers. There's a sort of a directory. We divide them up into universities and colleges, which is higher education. We have a K-12 section, which is primary and secondary schools, and we also have a section which is called Beyond Campus. Within that section, you find, for example, museums. We have the Tate. We have, for example, also the Royal Opera House and many other non-for-profit organizations within that section. And so, again, this is one way of getting to the collections. So click on one provider, and within that, then you find the collections. It's very easy to spot the difference between the collection and a course. Courses always have a small binder on the artwork. So on the left-hand side, you see a small spiral binding in the artwork, and collections don't have that. Also, the collections are directly accessible on the Mac and the PC. There's not a lot of difference between a PC Mac versus the iOS platform, and you can access, again, audio, video, PDF content. The next question is, can iTunes U support some interactive exercise like true, false, multiple choice questions with automatic grading contained within the app? So this is not part of the app. Again, the iTunes U app is more for the student, first of all, to access a digital repository offered as a collection or course by their institution, by their teacher or professor. This is also obviously the app where they can organize their content, so you can sort the content, also organize your notes and everything else. And it also helps to track where you at when you're taking a course. So again, by basically taking off the posts, for example, you can track how far you went in a course you subscribe to. There is, again, no immediate way of doing this sort of interactive exercises. As we've seen today, iBooks Author offers you to some extent this possibility by using the quiz widgets. So this is, again, for students to measure themselves against what they've learned and if they have understood the material. So this is definitely possible, but there's no feedback loop, for example, to the teacher or like a learning management system. So for that, you would need to maybe look into third-party tools within the iBooks Author environment. You can also use HTML widgets to do so, which could link into, for example, your VLE environment. The next question is, and again, this is a similar question, can you create iBooks with Windows or from the iPad? So this is a no at the moment. iBooks Author is an app on the Mac platform. The next question is, how do you share the book with just the students from within your school? So obviously, again, many different possibilities here. Number one, you could just create a book and put it on a intranet site. Or make it available through mail or a Dropbox account, which is only accessible for your students. So that's obviously possible. So students directly access the book through that. If it's part of an iTunes U course, so if you embed the iBooks, the multi-touch book basically created with iBooks Author into a course. And then if this course would be a private course, you could control who has access to the course. and so therefore also you can control who has access to the materials. So you would basically limit the distribution of the book through the iTunes U course manager private course function. So this is definitely possible. Can you, sorry, this is the next question, can you add an iBooks to an iTunes U collection or only to a course? So we do only allow iBooks author created books to be added to a course. At the moment, we only accept PDF and EPUBs as part of the iTunes U collections. So if you want to embed, if you want to add an iBooks authored book to your public site, you would need to do that through an iTunes U course. Are we covering copyrights? Is there any seminar? Again, unfortunately, from the Apple perspective, we will not give you too many hints and insights into copyrights and these sort of things. But I would urge you and advise you to make yourself familiar with what you're able to share. Also make sure that the material you're including in the course or even into a collection, that this has the appropriate copyrights information or that you're respecting those. Always look out for Creative Commons license, which means that in most cases you're able to share the content freely. So there's a lot of things to take care in the copyright in this around this topic. But again, we as Apple, we cannot give you any information on that, unfortunately. But please be aware that you are respecting any copyrights on the content you're using. The next question is, can you use YouTube videos in an iBooks author book? That's a very good question, actually. So it's a yes and no question. So we do not support it directly. So out of the box, there's no support for YouTube videos, but there is in fact a third-party widget, and there's a company or a website basically called Bookry. That's BOOKRY.com. It's a small website, and those people have put together some widgets which are to some extent available for free. There's some paid versions as well, but one of the widgets actually allows you to embed YouTube videos inside an iBooks author book, which is quite interesting. Obviously, the prerequisite would be that you would need to be online while you would be reading or basically consuming the book. But other than that, it's quite an interesting experience to do so. There are other widgets they're offering. There's, for example, a Google Maps widget, which again you can which allows you to embed basically a Google Maps within the book. Again, prerequisite being that you need to be online when you open the book on your iPad. So this is, again, a third-party company, bookry.com, BOOKRY.com. The next question is, how do you assess written feedback? Again, I'm referring back to my answer before, so there's no direct way of doing that. You would need to use a third-party app or maybe a third-party system, web-based system or similar things. The next question, laptops will interface with data loggers in science classes. Will the iPad be able to do this for data collection directly to the iPad? So this question, I guess, is not directly related to iTunes U, but I believe the question is about basically using the iPad for science classes, chemistry, etc., where you have data loggers or different other sort of measuring equipment. So there are third-party apps on the App Store, and there are apps for that as well who supports those. There's a company called Pasco, for example, and they are offering apps and also the equipment in order to use the iPad for different sort of physics and chemistry experiments. The next question is, can students hand in homework, classwork to iTunes U? So pretty similar to the other questions before. Again, there is no feedback loop at this point in time in the iTunes U app. So you would need to use another way of doing that. There's a lot of institutions who are using, for example, social social websites for that, specific ones which are made for education. You could obviously use blogs or wikis in an intranet to do so. So there's several ways. Again, this would not be inside the iTunes app, but this would happen outside through a third-party application or website. If I publish, then, sorry, this is the next question here. If I publish some material, could someone take this material, copy it or modify it and publish as a material later? I think technically this is always possible because so inside iTunes U and iTunes U Course Manager, we are not using any DRM. So again, I guess that technically you could always somehow get to the content or to the source. But again, within the iTunes U app, to some extent, the videos are embedded. So video and audio files, I believe, would not be that easy to get to. And other files, like for example PDF, you could open in third-party applications or put them on Dropbox. So I guess it's a question of making sure that maybe people are respecting copyrights rather than protecting the content, because again, we do not DRM any content which is uploaded. And this is the last question before I come to the end of this webcast. Can content by iBooks author be used on an iPhone? The answer is no. So any iBooks author created multi-touch book, you would need to use the iBooks app on an iPad. Again, for several reasons, not only the screen size, but it only works on the iPad. And with that, we are concluding the Q&A session, and I want to thank again our guest speakers, Chris and Scott, also Peter and Caroline from Apple. Thanks for joining us today, and for all the engaging presentations. It gives really some good insights on the usage of iTunes U Course Manager, how you create content for iTunes U courses, and I think it was a very exciting also demo from Jill and Don on how to use the iPad to create a video, for example. So just to remind everyone, this is a recorded webcast, so we will be making an on-demand version available later on. You will be receiving an email with the link to this webcast in the next couple of days. We have already sent out a link to the webcast number 1 and number 2 to anyone who has registered to those webcasts, so you should already be able to see those. And again, the third webcast will be available soon, so if you want to send that on to colleagues who haven't been able to join us today, please feel free to do so. And also for yourself, if you want to recap anything which we have covered today, I think this is a good opportunity to do so. So finally, I want to thank you again for joining us today, and maybe also for joining us for the other 2 webcasts if you've done so. Just a reminder again, please do watch our recordings, and even more so, please continue creating courses. So if you are interested in that, please continue creating courses. And if you have any questions, please do get in touch with us. And with that, I want to thank you, and I'm wishing you all a great day.